My little one just turned 2. It feels like yesterday when he was born. My husband and I were completely smitten by how adorable he was. Those tiny hands and feet, the way he yawned, everything about him melted our hearts. Back then, we even thought about having a second child, but after many late night chats, we decided against it. The reason is pretty straightforward. We just don't have the energy or the financial bandwidth for another kid. Sometimes we joke about what we'd do if we suddenly became rich. Would we change our minds? But honestly, I think the answer would still be no. Let me explain why we made this choice and what it's like raising a child in China. The first question is, why are fewer people in China getting married or having kids? In today's world, most families in China are dual income households, which means both parents have to work to make ends meet. That leaves very little time or energy to spend on raising kids. Take my husband and me, for example. My job is relatively chill, but he's out of the house by 8:30 a.m. and doesn't get home until 9 or 10 p.m. Life is fast-paced and stressful, and young people are constantly hustling to keep their jobs or earn more money. When it comes to raising kids here, it's pretty common to rely on grandparents for help. We are lucky to live with my mother-in-law, who helps out at town with our little one. My mom, on the other hand, lives down south and can only visit a month or two at a time. Even with their support, raising a child is exhausting, especially once they start working, running, and getting into everything. It's like chasing a tiny tornado around the house all day. I used to be a Xiaohongshu blogger sharing parenting and baby-related tips, but once my son came along, I had to put my channel on pause for almost a year because he took up all my spare time. That experience taught me just how much effort goes into raising a kid. It's no wonder so many young people are opting out of marriage and parenthood altogether. They'd rather live a simpler, more carefree life. The second question, why are more Chinese women choosing not to get married? A big reason for this is that women today are more educated and independent than ever. We don't need to rely on marriage to solve financial problems. And while women in China do enjoy relatively high social status, true gender inequality hasn't been fully achieved yet. Let's be real, most of the child rearing and housework still falls on women, and not all men are great at stepping up in that department. Nowadays, both men and women are accepted to work and bring in money. So far, for many women, marriage and kids just don't feel as necessary as they used to. When my husband and I decided to have a child, we waited until we felt financially stable and mentally prepared. Even so, having a baby completely flipped our lives upside down. From the moment I wake up each day, it's a whirlwind of tasks. Making breakfast, changing diapers, playing with my son, you name it. After work, I spend the evening with him. And once he's finally asleep, my husband and I are still running around, prepping meals for the next day. Not long ago, this routine had me totally burned out. I go to bed past midnight every night, not to do it all over again the next day. So we finally decided to hire a part-time domestic helper. Thank goodness labor costs in China aren't too high. The helper comes for a couple of hours every weekday to help with dinner, and we pay her around 2,000 yuan a month. Even with her help, though, there's still so much to do. Grocery shopping, planning recipes, restocking pantry essentials. It's endless. Despite all the help we get from my mother-in-law and the helper, my husband and I are still running on fumes most of the time. That's why I totally understand why more and more young people are saying no to marriage and kids. So what's my takeaway? Raising kids is tough, no doubt about it, but I love my son more than anything else in the world. That said, even if I were to strike it rich someday, I'd still choose to have just one child. Why? Because I believe it's important to live for myself too. What about you? Have you faced any challenges or tough decisions when it comes to marriage or parenting? Let's chat about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.